OverDrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog Jeff O'Neill, Michael DeStefano, a.k.a. Al's brother, and Cheryl Pounder will join us here in a few moments. We've got Dear Hayesy-B later in the hour. Of course, Mail It In Friday brought to you by Boston Pizza. And we got our best bets later in the hour. The Raptors in action tonight, the Leafs in action tomorrow, Week 18 in the NFL. Get the PWHL tonight. It's been a great week.
It's been great.
You know, it's like big ratings, lots of buzz.
It has been. I want to say one thing about your NFL picks, Hayes. I give you guys credit. You keep losing, and you're committed to the information, and you're committed to your picks. Like you're like a GM that continues to lose, and you believe in yourselves. And I kind of give you credit for that.
Are you claiming what? That we're ignorant, or like
No,
guess you're saying we're stubborn and it doesn't really matter.
You just go back to the well. Here's what it is. You guys believe in yourselves.
Yeah, we do. We have confidence.
And I admire that to some degree. Like you got it handed to you a little bit in the last couple of weeks, but you stick with it. And I know that it's not just Al's brother giving you information and you nodding your head saying, we'll do it, because I know that you would not do that. You guys come together and you make a selection and you believe in it. I give you props for that.
Thank you. That's right. Al's brother, I mean, I think that's obviously a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, this feels very much like a backhanded compliment.
No, it's not. It's not.
When you couple that with the text we're getting in the group chat, I don't know how to decipher what exactly this is supposed to mean here.
Yeah, it's getting a little carried away with these two. And Rod, I saw Rod Smith yesterday, so happy. He's loving his team and the way everything's playing out.
Did Rod have a couple comments on it? Or
yeah, he just said it's awesome. You know, he actually was talking about REG and TG, everything. Like asking about the acronyms and all that. He was buzzing, man. He should be in good spirits. And, again, the regular season coming to an end this week. The World Juniors came to an end today, so Cheryl will join us here in a moment to get her take on all that. The Leafs are in action tomorrow. Doesn't sound like Nick Robertson will play tomorrow again. Like he was a healthy in Anaheim for Pontus Holmberg, and it sounds like he'll be a healthy scratch again tomorrow.
We wonder what you do. What is he? Like, what do you do with him? Does someone else want to take a sniff on him? I don't know.
What are you going to get for him at this point?
Exactly. You know, I don't know. Sometimes a kid like that, he goes to the second team and things work out. But I just watch him and I'm like, not a lot of size, and you don't need it. Guys have proven it to have success in the league now. You don't. And the size is not a necessity. But he'll score a goal and then he'll have 2 or 3 games where he collects points and then it just disappears.
Yeah.
And the disappearing, regardless of power play time or not, that's kind of the sign where it's like, I don't know. You wonder what it's ultimately going to be.
Yeah, I don't think Sheldon Keefe loves his game. Like I think the coach has a difficult time playing him, hence why he would take him out of the lineup in Anaheim and continue to likely take him out tomorrow. I think they look at that line with him and Domi defensively, not that strong.
Yeah, there's got to be tinkering there.
And it was always going to be Robertson. Yeah. Like Domi's playing. Max, I think Max has played well. I like the.
Does he play down the middle though? Like come playoff time, is he someone who you still think is like 3C for this club?
I'm not sure that that's ideal. I think they may try to push him to the wing. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But Max is playing, and I think he'll be an important piece in the playoffs.
He was 3C for the Dallas Stars last year, wasn't he? And they got to a conference final.
Listen, sometimes you get hyper-focused on like one element of a player's game.
Right.
Obviously, it would be great if everyone was complete. If you're on the third line in the NHL, there's something flawed in your game. Like that's why you're on the third line. It's generally the way it works. And defensively, it's incredibly important. It's even more important in the playoffs. I'm not downplaying the importance of that. But if you bring other strengths to the table, like offensive ability, which he does. Like, I think tenacity, energy, some physicality. I think he's got some bite. I don't think he likes to lose. Like, these are all things that I believe are also important ingredients that I think Max Domi represents. So if you're just going to be hyper-focused on, well, he's not this guy on that team, then obviously you're not going to come around to the idea that Max can be a part of a winning program. But I've liked his game. And he's not playing a ton. Like, he's really not. He's playing like 11 minutes a night, 10, 12 minutes a night. He's not getting a ton of runway. Meanwhile, 5-on-5, he is really producing offensively. And
I believe he leads the league. I'll double check this, but I believe he leads the league in assists at 5-on-5 per 60 this season.
There you go.
So he's,
Like,
he's
think about
producing.
that. Yeah, exactly. Like at a limited time in terms of the amount of ice time he's actually getting, he's producing. Mailed In Friday is brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. This January at Boston Pizza, get delicious mouth-watering pastas starting at $11.99 every single day. Enjoy the pastas you love at prices you just can't miss. Hustle in your local BP tonight. All right, so Cheryl Pounder's coming up here in a moment. And Cheryl's been busy, man. Cheryl's been doing the panel with you guys at the World Juniors.
Oh, you have no idea how busy she gets now. Like,
yes.
She goes right into the World Juniors to calling 2 and 3 games a day in the booth.
Right. She's got the under-18s coming up. She's obviously was calling the PWHL game. That was really cool, the Mattamy Center. They've sold out. There's been a lot of talk about the tickets, a lot of talk about the amount of, merchandise being sold. The ratings are out for the inaugural game, Toronto versus New York, really high numbers.
Dude, that's what you needed. That's the start you needed for the positive vibe and to everybody catch on and be like, maybe I got to get down there and watch that game. That's a perfect start for them.
It's mandatory for any league, for any business. You start, you got to come out of the gate hot. You got to create buzz. You got to get people saying, what's up here? How do I get involved in that? I like the way this looks. I like the way it feels. And, yes, it was put together relatively quickly because they wanted to get on the ice. The players want to play, So in terms of some of the marketing and the logos and the team names, all that kind of stuff, it was done quickly.
Yeah.
And a lot of work still has to be done.
It'll come.
It will, but you got to get on the ice. You got to get playing, and you got to take advantage of playing. And I think they've done a good job of that early into the season. So here is our TSN hockey analyst, Cheryl Pounder. How you doing, Cheryl?
I'm doing pretty good, guys. Just walked in the house after the World Junior final there, so about to pour myself a pint. I'm not going to lie.
Yes, you deserve it. We were just saying your schedule is wild, and it's not going to slow down anytime soon. And we'll get to the under-18s, we'll get to the World Juniors, but why don't we begin with the first day of the new year, January 1st, the PWHL down at the Mattamy Center. Obviously, it's a day that a lot of people will not forget. How will you look back on that first game, Toronto versus New York?
Well, obviously the Olympics were moments that I'll never forget in my career, but I honestly think that game may be the most impactful. And I thought about that a lot during the broadcast, even before the broadcast, and I said that I was actually going to take some time within the broadcast, even before puck drop, to just take a moment to take it all in, just seeing some of the alumni in the building that came just to watch, to witness it firsthand, to see all the young girls in the stands, and then, of course, those women on the ice that stood tall, unified over the last multiple years, really, to be able to put it on the ice. So it was remarkable. It was awesome. I thought that the game could have been a little bit better, but I think that at the end of the day, it was because the women were just taking in the moment. And for me, that was just outstanding, and certainly a moment I will never forget, even having my daughters there in the building, to know that it's possible. And you saw the girls in their uniforms. It was really surreal and a pinch me moment.
Cheryl, the physicality, it seems like is that an agreement where the refs are going to just let a bit of it go, or is that going to tighten up? How did that, because that's been a lot of the talk where it's like there's been some, quasi body checks against the boards. Like, do you think that continues?
Oh, I absolutely love it. I
do too, but is it
I love it, and I wish I had the opportunity to play with it, because the big inconsistency in the women's game is the officiating, and the game has always been known. It's a game of hockey. It's speed, it's skill. Of course, it's angling in the women's game, because you couldn't just hip check someone. So kind of what the game is today, the modern game day, where, you're steering, you're squeezing to one side, and then you're pinching. And, the women train full time. A lot of them do now that they have this league. They're being paid to train. It is their job. So they're only going to get stronger, and you need to allow physical play along the wall. And I do believe that. I think, the energy momentum switches in the game, and a lot of that comes down to the physicality as well. Not open ice hitting necessarily, but certainly along the boards. I think they need to let a lot more of it go, and they have incorporated it in the SPHL in Sweden and women's hockey. And so, the idea there was, will the women keep their heads up more? So will there be less injuries because they learn to keep their heads up? And when we talked about in the men's game, right, there's less hitting. Now all of a sudden the guy walks through the middle of the ice with his head down and he gets clobbered, because he's playing with his head down. So for the women's game, I do like that they're allowing more. I think it's entertaining. I think they can handle it, no question about it. And I think they're strong athletes. And as long as it's consistent, and for me, along the boards in particular, not necessarily open ice.
With Cheryl Pounder, our TSN hockey analyst. Obviously, we're not even into a full week yet of the PWHL, and it's early, but I'm sure people in Toronto, I was out for lunch with a bunch of friends today. They're like, what should we be making of this Toronto team? Like the first time we saw it, the first impression wasn't great. They lost 4-0. I'm not sure where you stand on this, Cheryl. I'm not sure how much more we need to see before we start to get a read on, like, where does Toronto stack up here? And do we have a hierarchy yet in terms of power rankings among the 6 teams, or is it too early in the season to really know?
Well, I think it's too early, although when you do look at the rosters, they've got a heavy national team contingency with Troy Ryan, the head coach of Team Canada, being the head coach with the Toronto team. So certainly drafted, a strong defensive presence with Renata Fast and Sarah Nurse. So 2 of the strongest defenders in the world from a standpoint of patrolling the blue line. You've got Sarah Nurse, a name that everyone is familiar with, Emma Malte, Blair Turnbull, a 200-foot player. So for me, they're a team that will be defensive. I think that they could struggle generating offense. I think that's something that I'm looking forward to, and how sort of they manage that as the season goes on. But certainly, I mean, they've got some key pieces, and I don't think we're going to see these 4-0 games. I think the games are going to be really, really close. I've always thought that New York was going to be one of the contenders, being really strong down the middle. I mean, hockey is hockey, guys, and you're strong down the middle. You're going to have a team, and if you've got strong goaltending, and they have it in Schroeder as well as Levy, and also Boston. You can't rule out anyone, really, guys. It's a 6-team league, right? So drafted the best female hockey players in the world amongst these 6 teams. So for me, it can almost come down to anyone, because I think these games are going to be real, real tight. If you looked at Montreal-Ottawa the other night, it was an awesome game. I mean, it was outstanding. And you've got the likes of Poulin going head-to-head with Brianne Jenner. So leadership on Team Canada. Poulin getting booed in the building, which I thought was actually awesome. So I think it's going to be a real close game.
Cheryl, I'm curious to get your thoughts on, the international flair throughout the league. Like, how much is that going to allow the sport of women's hockey to really grow internationally?
Well, I think you're also seeing it with streaming too. People tuning in from European countries because they've got, they've got skin in the game. They've got Tapani playing over here. We've got Czechia players, Anita Teralova, with Ottawa. I think she's going to be one of the strongest defenders in the league. So all of a sudden you've got these European countries, international players having a little look-see, seeing what it's all about, seeing, the dream is alive for any female hockey player in the world right now, and this is the league to play in. So eyes are going to be on it no matter where you're living, because you've heard about it. You have someone in your country likely playing in it, especially, what I would say considered to be the strongest countries on the landscape for the women's game. So from Sweden, Finland, Czechia. So you're going to see players coming over, which we have. And that's only going to build as the league itself gets a little bit older as well. Next year's draft, Sarah Fillier comes into it. So you're going to start to see the college players that are sort of just entering their prime, because that's been the problem in the women's game. You're coming out of college, and now where do you go? So now they have a place to play to continue to develop in their prime. So I think the international flavor, the international landscape's only going to get better, because you've got players who are on their respective national teams, playing in this league. So now they're playing day to day against the best on best. So they take that back to their national teams. And while we're at it, guess what? There's also valuation to all of these other players who are going to get a little bit of a look-see too. So it's not just going to be the same old, same old. There's going to be new players that come in here and say, hey, take a look at me.
Cheryl, I like to focus on the positives, but the negatives sometimes get my interest. How long do you think before it would be insider trading and Dregs is going to report that one of the coaches in the PWHL is on the hot seat. Do you think that's going to go down?
You know what? This is what needs to happen in the women's game.
Trade rumors, coaches on the hot seat. I love it.
Damn right. And this is, we said to some of the players, when you're on, television a couple times a week now, expect to be critiqued. Like, this is part of it. You're a paid athlete, and analysis is going to come, and insiders, and so on and so forth. And I think that's generating the buzz. It's the dialogue. It's the conversation. We can't get lazy with it, and we got to keep going. So we need that in the game. It's what piques people's interest. It's what keeps people involved. And so certainly, if a coach is on a losing streak and they're expected to win, they're going to have to answer to it.
With Cheryl Pounder, our TSN hockey analyst, obviously a big part of the panel in the World Juniors, and it just came to an end. We were watching the game this afternoon. The Americans, I thought they clearly deserved to win the game, and in the third, I thought they were phenomenal. Like, to have a lead and play the way they did in the third, they just said, lights out, we're done, moving on. And we were talking to Johnny last hour, and he was there obviously with Gordon. He was talking about how chippy it was getting, how emotional it was getting late in that game. What did you make of the gold medal today, and how good were the Americans in your opinion compared to everyone else in the tournament?
Well, first of all, I mean, the crowd in the building, you could almost feel the energy. And I know we talked about it earlier. Sometimes when Sweden was in the game, you could just almost feel the crowd and how badly they wanted that game. But the offensive punch of the Americans was just wears you down, right? I thought that Sweden played a strong period in terms of their defensive coverage, the way they closed the speed in that first period. But when they didn't get on the board and the Americans got up by one, you knew that they were coming. It's like a wave. One line comes out, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one, and you just can't match that. So that's what I felt like, that over time that Sweden just got worn down by that offensive punch that they have. And I mean, 45 goals on the tournament, guys. I mean, that's a hell of a lot of goals, to put in the twine. So
that's what you need,
me,
Cheryl, to win. It's like we talked about Bedard last year, but there was a bunch of other guys that were really good last year. Guys that came through and scored goals. It's like, you can have the goaltending, you can talk about the decor, but if you don't have guys that are being game breakers and score the goals, Canada had a bunch of, all we did was talk about their chances, and when they wouldn't shoot it or miss the net, it's like, it can't be one guy only. You got to have a bunch of guys that are just scoring. It's about game breakers, man, that score goals.
Yeah, and I felt like this was just like a batting lineup that was in sync. Everyone was batting clean up, like, around the net. They just kept coming at you. And it's, whenever you watch the Americans play in this tournament, you never thought, oh, they're not coming. Even when they weren't playing well or overly well, you're like, okay, they're coming. And they got Leighton Hudson on the blue line, just being shifty on the blue line, open up lanes, and then it all leads to their offense. So you're right. I don't think Canada capitalized, or they weren't opportunistic. And you have to have those players that can put it in when it counts. And Howard today, he ties the tournament lead with 7 goals, putting 2 on the board. He only had 3 shots on goal, and he scored twice. So, again, that's just showing you the nature of putting the puck in when it counts. And it changes, 1 goal changes the momentum of a game and puts it back in your favor. And when you put the momentum back in the favor of a team like the Americans, especially with that type of speed and skill, you're in trouble.
Great stuff as always, Cheryl. Enjoy the evening. You'll be right back at it, I believe, the rest of the weekend. So good luck with that. We'll do it again soon. Thank you for this.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
You got it, Cheryl Pounder, a TSN hockey analyst. And, you got the under-18 women's worlds coming up. And just had the World Juniors, PWHL, Toronto and New York tonight. Games going all weekend. Game tonight, game tomorrow, game Sunday, I believe.
Lots of hockey.
Lots of hockey. Leafs back in action tomorrow night. A few games in the NHL tonight. So we'll come back with Dear Hayesy-B. Get to our best bets. Brought to you by FanDuel later in the hour. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050N on TSN 2. Mailed in Fridays continues. Brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. This January at Boston Pizza, get delicious mouth-watering pastas starting at $11.99. Every single day. Enjoy the pastas you love at the prices you just can't miss. Hustle into your local BP tonight. You can watch primetime golf as well. It's kind of
Did
a
you
weird.
hear anything from Rolf?
I have not. We're trying to track down Rolf. I was watching last night, and it like they're really, because they got Hicks there. Like they got Hicks in the booth, and they're trying to get, was it Kurt Bynum? Is that his name?
Kurt Byram?
Kurt Byram, that's his name. Yeah. So Kurt, they're trying to really get him involved in the production of it all. So I didn't catch Rolf throw to a commercial last night. I'm sure it happened at some point. It will happen over the course of the weekend. Mm-hmm. And they got Kisner there too, right? They're bringing Kisner out today, and he's going to do stuff on the weekend. But Rolf will definitely be throwing a commercial in only ways he knows how to at Kapalua. But Tyrrell
So
Hatton,
what are they doing with Kisner? Like, are
He's
they
just-
saying you're going to try it out this weekend, and if you like it, you want to do it? Are you going to replace Azinger?
that's kind of the impression I got, that it's either him uncertain if he really wants to do it, or them uncertain what he's about, and they want to give him a chance, because like Kisner's he's a name for sure. He's not a massive name, but he's a name. He seems like a decent personality. I'm curious what he's got. I don't know how much they're going to use him. I think he'll be on 18. They'll throw to him, when groups are coming through. But Tyrrell Hatton currently at 15 under. Brendan Todd, your boy, he's at 15 under.
How you boys feeling about your picks?
Not great right now, I got to be honest with you, Els brother. Morikawa's the only guy I got really cooking at 12 under. I didn't take Sung Jae, and he's 14 under.
That's your boy.
I know.
Imsy's your boy.
I always take Sung Jae. Always. And, my guy Ludwig he's struggling right now. I mean, these guys torch this course. The winner's going to be like 32 under par.
Yeah.
And they're crushing it more every year. It's like that par 5, the 18th, it's like every year they're hitting less clubs.
Yeah.
Like, as long as it is, the ball runs for 30 seconds after, but it used to be like 3-wood. Now they're hitting 6 irons into that green.
It's crazy.
It's disgusting. It's 670 yards long.
Yeah. Like, it's par 73, the course, and yet they're shooting 7, 8 under par. Seems like every round. And like Scheffler hit a stinger driver yesterday that was like 40 feet off the ground. It was an incredible looking shot. And it's just because he's playing the contours. He was trying to hit a speed slot. He's like, if I hit this thing with wheels on it, it is going to run like 200 yards. And that's exactly what it did. But see the pants on Victor Hovland yesterday? Where he had
just
like
can't stop it. The Lindenberg stuff.
He can't, man. They were like old ref pants with the white lines down the side.
And then his shirt had lines on it. It's like, if I'm that guy's agent, I'm like, you were on the cusp of becoming the top golfer in the world.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to get you dialed in, looking like Tiger Woods out there.
Well,
Just a simple, tight black pair of pants and a nice white shirt, dude, with your muscles bulging. You'll be dialed in. But
yeah, man. I wonder what's up with Tiger and Nike, though. Like, there's a lot of smoke there.
There is,
Like,
dude.
it could
That
turn
would
into a
be
full-blown
massive.
fire. Because Jason Day's already left. You see the gear that Day's wearing. He looks like he's from the 1940s.
Dude, J-Day is one of my faves, okay? But he made, like, gear change, and he is wearing painter's pants, and I don't know what else he's got going on.
It's wild.
What's the situation with Woods? I missed it.
I think there's some belief that Nike might just get out of golf, possibly.
Oh.
Like it maybe. I don't know that definitively clearly, but Jason Day's been a Nike guy forever, and he just flipped. And Tiger's deal is up, and Tiger was wearing it at the PNC last month, and he was asked about his relationship, and all he would say was, "I'm still wearing their gear." Like, basically, I'm not talking about it.
Right.
Which is wild because he's been with them for 25 years.
Yeah.
He's
And
made
it
them
first
a
kind of
fortune.
started, the talk was when the shoes, when his foot's all jammed up and he couldn't find a Nike shoe. And everyone was like, this guy gets so much money from Nike. How is he not putting a Nike shoe on? Mm-hmm. And that kind of got people talking, and now it seems like there's some smoke there.
Yeah, which is wild. Like Tiger without Nike.
Since that, though, no?
What's that?
Been a couple of years since that whole fiasco about the shoe thing.
Yeah, it has. And maybe that has nothing to do with his deal expiring or not, but it was a bad look for Nike.
Yeah,
that the
for sure.
Best player in the world can't get a shoe to fit him properly.
He's made them a lot of money. There's been a
made
lot
them
of
a
red
fortune.
golf shirts that have been sold over the years.
Yes, and it's
But-
been mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
Tiger's made a fortune off that Nike deal. But yeah, if he leaves, who knows? But you still have Scheffler, you still have Koepka, you got Finau, I think is a Nike guy. You got a lot of different Nike guys. But anyway, all right, Best Bets brought to you by FanDuel later in the hour. You guys ready to fire up some Dear Hayesy-B on a Friday afternoon?
Let's do it.
Insight, the ability to see and understand why you do the things you do.
Dear Hayesy-B.
We're going to go down there and have a donkey barbecue, and I'm going to furnish the ass, right?
You don't want to hide a Mars bar in your sleeping bag when there's a bear outside the tent.
You guys know the deal with this, okay? It's very simple. We help people.
Mm-hmm.
We came close to winning an award last year. We just missed out. But on Fridays, people submit problems, and we handle them. Al's brother, I think I know how you're going to answer this one first.
Okay.
And you better answer it the right way, or you're done with this segment.
All right.
Dear Hayesy-B, I'm in love with my good buddy's girl.
Uh-oh.
I had a tough time reading that, okay?
That's
Just hang on.
Tough, man. Those are
I'm
really
in
tough.
love with my good buddy's girl. She's been giving me the eyes when hanging out. It's not funny, guys. We got to get through it. We got to do it.
Okay. You're right.
I feel there could be a hidden connection. Feel like she's the one. Should I leave it alone or sneak in a long and super tight hug, saying hello or goodbye to feel her reaction?
Well, you want Al's brother to answer this? Al's brother. I guess
Hazy, you
could be
being a veteran at this, I think
Yeah.
you need to go first.
Well, let me firstly begin. You don't go with the creepy long hug.
No.
As a vibe check. Like, what do you think is going to happen with that? Like, oh, yeah, that was an amazing hug. She totally hugged me back. That means she's into you.
You do like the Trump, she goes to pull away and you grab back in? Like,
Yeah,
is that what we're
exactly.
talking here?
Like, the elongated hug is not the vibe check you're
No,
looking
it's just
for.
awkward.
Dude, you don't go vibing on it at all. Hayes.
I know. That, like, first and foremost, you just don't do it because you got to figure out what's up with the chances of your buddy and this woman staying together long term. Is it possibly on the rocks where if you give it 6 months breathing, could then you look into it and talk to your friend and say, hey, this is what's up? But you can't. Well, they're still dating. There's nothing you can do about that. And like your interpretation of getting the eyes. What eyes are you talking about? I really question the eyes you think you're getting. And again, all I can think of is you going in for a creepy long hug and immediately getting a restraining order. Do not go in for a creepy long hug.
Or her kneeing you in the pills.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think you're doing?
Yeah, exactly. The Joe Biden's the hair sniffing. You're going to sniff hair with a long hug? You can't do it.
No.
Do not do it.
No. And look, as someone who maybe has thought about, I got the eyes once or twice, 9 out of 10 times that's not the case. So I don't think that is what's going on here, to be quite honest with you.
Okay.
I'm with you, though, Hayes. I think if you're this guy, you try and wait it out. If they're end game, you got no shot, clearly.
Yeah, but
if
how
they break
greasy
up,
is it if they just break up and then a week later you go to Boston Pizza and he's sitting there? Like, this is a no-fly zone, guys.
It's a no-fly zone for a long time. I don't know how long they've been together. They've been dating for a couple of weeks. Is this a long-standing relationship? It's a very
you start dating her as
dicey
as soon as they're done. Your buddies, you lost a buddy.
You're not
too,
buddies
He's going
anymore.
to say, your buddy's going to say you're a greasy pig.
but if
Yeah,
she's the one,
you're
if
not
he
buddies.
feels she's the one, maybe he feels like she's
There's
worthy
got to be a
over the
grace
guy.
period, though, there, right?
Yeah.
And it's
5
got to
years.
be a long time, and he's got to be the one breaking up with her.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if she broke up with him and he's crushed, and then you're sneaking in, no. It's not going to happen. It's
Get
not
it
gonna
out of
work.
your head, you creep. Hayes, I got a feeling that you are some type of an expert on what to do here.
Okay.
My friends and I, dear Hayesy-B, my friends and I are planning a trip down to Vegas for the Super Bowl this year, but one of my buddies mentioned the trip around my girlfriend's father, and he said he wanted to join in. He's never seen me in party mode before, and I don't want him to get the wrong impression. Do I let him join in with the boys, or I tell him respectfully it's not ideal for him?
Yeah, you do whatever you can respectfully to make sure he understands he's not coming to Vegas.
What gives him the right to think he can even join on
It's
this
absurd.
boys' trip?
It's absurd. I mean, listen, Vegas for the Super Bowl is incredibly compelling, Alice brother. Let's be clear here. The idea of going, and maybe his buddies are in a different life, different world. They're thinking, I'm not doing that. If you want to come over to my basement and hang out, maybe, this guy is a party animal. Maybe he's dying to go to Vegas. Maybe he's never been there. Maybe he's a big fan of the Ravens or something and is a big believer that they're going to get there and this is his chance. And the only way he can convince his wife or whatever is, well, I'm going with Gary and blah, blah, blah. But it is an absolute no-fly zone. You cannot go to Vegas with not even your father-in-law, girlfriend's dad. Are you nuts?
Yeah.
Dude,
That's
no,
insane.
I
chance.
totally disagree. If the guy's name's Ron, you say, Ron, can I talk to you outside for a second? And you say, Ron, this is Vegas. Are you prepared to see me doing things like there could be nose beers involved? Like, it doesn't matter. You just have to say, whatever you see me doing, Ron, you got to just look away if you want to come. And that's just how it's going to be. There could be peelers. There could be outrageous things. And you have to accept that could happen with a bunch of young guys. We're not going to be crazy. But if you agree to doing that and keeping quiet and you want to be a man's man about it, then you can come. Other than that, you're not coming.
You can't trust that.
And he's getting his own
Why?
room. Getting his own
Why
spot.
can't you trust
Obviously
that?
his own room. Because how would you know? Like, Ron may sit there and say, yeah, of course. And then Ron gets there and goes, whoa, I didn't think you were being serious. Or what
His
the hell's
daughter.
going
He's
on
got
here?
no allegiance to this guy.
What's that?
It's his daughter. He's got no
Exactly.
allegiance to this guy.
Ron will lie through his teeth to get down there in Vegas.
Absolutely.
And then make sure that everyone knows what you and your buddies were up to.
Yeah.
If you were up to something, silly on the side.
No shot.
So,
No
can't
shot
do
this
it.
guy's coming.
Can't happen.
Dear Hazy-B, my buddy just had his birthday. For his gift, our entire friend group chipped in to buy him an all-inclusive hair repair experience in Turkey. He's been balding since he's 12 years old. The problem is that he doesn't want to go because it's his last summer as a uni student. Fair or foul?
Well, the idea that he wouldn't take you up on this if you've already pitched in to hook him up, like you guys are saints. Like this friends group, I wish I had a friends group that was similar to this. The idea that you would pitch in and look this guy in the eye and say, it's time to get to Turkey and change your life. And I'm assuming maybe you morph that into a boys trip, right? You're not going to bring this guy because his squash is going to be a disaster for at least the next 6 weeks. You do not want him cruising the streets of Istanbul with a CCM bucket on or whatever it's going to be. But after he gets the hair transplant, he stays in the hotel. The boys floored in Istanbul. But I would be personally offended if he declined this invitation, to the point where I might cut him completely out of the friend zone. He's out of the circle of friends, because that is a huge amount of money, time, effort that you're willing to put in for this guy.
I think
and he's
you got
not willing to accept it.
You got to go. You got to. How long can it take to go over there and get a new salad stapled on your head? It's a 2-day thing, isn't it?
Well, I mean, Turkey's not a hop, skip, and a jump. I mean, it's a long flight.
I get it, but you
It's a
go
little bit
there.
longer
This is
process,
all.
but-
This is like they have this down to a science. You get off the bird. There's a limo right to the place. You have surgery, and you're on the bird back home.
Here's what I say to the guy. I say, fella, look at your noggin right now. It's scary. It's gross. Let's get some hair on that bad boy, and then you've got so many summers after this to try and do what you need to do. Mm-hmm. This summer is not the final summer of his life.
Jay's
He's a
hat for the
university
summer.
student. There
Right.
you go.
Jay's hat for the
Jay's
summer.
hat for the summer.
Exactly.
You be hat guy for a couple of months, and all of a sudden you got a beautiful melon with some nice follicles up top.
There you
and
go.
they could pick up as much women as you want from age, was he last year uni? So he's 21, 22?
Yeah, he's in his
oh,
early
my
20s.
God. He's got tons of years to establish himself in the
Turkey.
crowd. Go.
Boys
What
trip
are you
in
thinking
Turkey,
about?
man. Boys trip in Turkey.
Oh.
Then you're already over there. Maybe who knows where you go next, right? Maybe you fly to Amsterdam afterwards. Maybe you go to London or whatever. Hit up Dublin. I don't know. Paris. Do anything you want. Once you're across the pond, it is go time.
Dear Hazy-B, I recently got into the online dating game, and I met a girl who I thought I was attracted to. It was the first time for her to meet my friends at a bar night downtown. but it got awkward real quick as she dated both of my friends during high school a decade ago, and she got a little close with one. Do I keep riding this out or tell her straight?
Well, I don't understand what he's going to tell her.
Yeah.
She knows.
She obviously knows.
She knows. Yeah, exactly. What's the, obviously
Well,
she's
maybe
aware.
he's meaning, do I tell her straight that I don't like it? Like that
Yeah,
this
I guess
can't
so,
work
but
because of that.
Okay, but what that's not her problem. You know what I mean? Like, that was 10 years ago. You're both adults. If you're in your late 20s, do you think you're meeting someone that's never dated someone before? You know what I mean? Like, I get it that it could be awkward, and
You don't want to see her saddling up next to, an ex-lover of hers, though.
Well,
and that's the situation here.
I guess so. What are you going to do?
Ex-lover.
Yeah, exactly. Just relax over there, Shakespeare. What are you supposed to do, Alice, brother? Not bring her out? I mean, this is a decision that the guy's got to make. It's not her problem, right? Like, if you are uncomfortable with this, then okay, I guess, you break it off. What are you going to say? What are you going to say? You're not allowed to come out?
Well, you could bring her out just like, hey, let's not, associate with
Meet
this
the friends that are my
I don't know.
friends that you happen to date a decade ago that I wasn't aware of. That I just what it's not her issue whatsoever.
Dude, just save it's bros before anything else. Just save yourself the problems. It's like it's just going to be awkward. It's going to be in your head. You just say, "Nice meeting you. This is just not going to work out."
And that's fine. And
Yes.
if that's the case, if you can't personally deal with it, the guy, then you move on. But you don't. You don't address her. It's not her problem. It's like
There's only one way to do it. It's just face it head on and say, "Hey, go ahead, say hi, get this over with, get the awkwardness out of the way." Or you say no thanks, period.
Exactly. That's it. You have two options. You're both adults. It doesn't matter. It was a decade ago. Really like each other. Hey, this is what's going on. Move on. Or you're like, I can't handle this. Whatever. I'm not going to feel comfortable, and you move and you go the other direction. Very simple. But it's not an ultimatum for her. What is she going to do?
No.
Act as if it didn't happen or whatever. I mean,
No,
come
but
on.
you don't have to lean into, and start flirting with the guy's buddy. That's where I'm coming from.
But
like,
who's to suggest
they can
that
be
that's gonna
around
happen,
each
Alice,
other.
brother?
It sounds like that's what this guy's saying is they're getting a little too close to each other.
Well, yeah,
that's
a
what
bit
would bug
concerning,
me.
I guess.
It's not that you're around the friends. It's that they're getting a little too close to one another.
All right, Alice, brother. Okay, I get it. Former lovers. I don't want to get between the two of them.
Former lovers. Apple Revenge, this one's called. Hazy, you live in a neighborhood. Al's brother, you've got a house down there with the fam jam in St. Catharines. And you might think this is cheesy, but this is real life stuff. Like, this garbage happens in real life. Dear Hayesy-B, 2 weeks ago on a walk, I was eating an apple and threw the core into the neighbor's green bin on pickup day. Doesn't seem like a big deal. Mm-hmm. This week, I go to add a last-minute bag to our bin out front, and there's 10 to 12 apple cores inside. Is it Clark McSorley now?
So this guy is suggesting that he's getting apple
let me just
core.
tell you, I'm telling you what he is suggesting. He is suggesting, and my neighbor, Robbie, he's the best, because if I say, he's got two bins, and if I say, Robbie, can I throw some cardboard in one of your, no problem, Jeff, he's just a great guy. Carl, he's a great guy too. But he's suggesting he got caught. Someone saw him putting an apple core in the green bin, and they decided to save up all their apple cores the next week and dump them in his. And now he wants to go McSorley Clark.
All right, so it's apple core retaliation is what is being said here. That his apple came across the middle like Dougie Gilmore game one, and McSorley smoked them, and obviously, Wendell decided to drop the gloves in response. I think it's outrageous.
And he wants to know if he should go Barry Melrose.
Well, I think the retaliation on top is now you need a bushel of apple cores, right? Like, you need to get yourself a horse and start feeding that thing, and you show up with 50 apple cores, right? That's the next move. And then you see what's up from there, right? Because dropping one, how would the neighbor even know that it was you? They get a DNA
it's a creepazoid,
test?
and they're creepazoid, and they watch like hawks. Trust me.
I know. Like an apple core retaliation is wild. Like,
it really is. Imagine that firing this cat up.
Yeah, that is. It's not quite Clark McSorley yet. I think you go back over the top, but then if there's a reversal the other way, then something might have to give.
Yeah, I guess I agree with that one, but this is It's just silly. Like, I don't. Well, what's this guy doing coming across, throwing a dozen apple cores into somebody's green bin? Who gives a damn?
Yeah, and listen, I got young kids that like apples. The idea of going through like 12 to 14 in a
You're
week.
keeping these things and walking down
Yeah,
the street?
that's
like,
intentional.
You look like an idiot.
That's a lunatic sitting there eating apples, possibly spitting them out just to get to the core so that he can retaliate.
Yeah.
It's just a
Wild.
simple combo. You got to knock on the door and say, look, I don't know what the 12 cores were. I can't even believe I'm discussing how to approach this.
Or
But what is the problem here? I threw one apple core. Like, you just have a grown-up conversation. And then you really have to find out how nuts they are. And if they're nuts, you move. That's what you got to do.
Sure.
or you
move.
drop a dirty diaper in there next.
Yeah.
Go a little above and beyond.
Whose diaper are we talking about, Alice, brother?
In this hypothetical situation, I'm assuming that's
find
this
adults?
person has a child.
You find something.
You ask around in the neighborhood who's got a 2-year-old.
That's vindictive, man. You're firing up your own diaper just to make sure you get back at that guy. I would
Well, of
not
course.
suggest you go down that road. All right. There you go. Okay, I like it. Dear Hazy-B, I think we're helping people. Alice, brother, very helpful. Very
Thank
helpful.
you, Alice, brother.
Tried.
Yeah,
I tried
we
my best.
appreciate that you're a big part of that. All right, we'll come back with our best bets brought to you by FanDuel. Recap a busy afternoon and look ahead to a busy weekend. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. Mail-in Fridays brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. This January at Boston Pizza, get delicious, mouth-watering pastas starting at $11.99 every single day. Enjoy the pastas you love at the prices you just can't miss. Hustle into your local BP tonight. I saw a clip of Shams Charania of The Athletic reporting that things are ramping up between the Raptors and the Sacramento Kings for Pascal Siakam.
That means he's gone by Monday.
Yeah, it very well could be because there's a clip circulating. You know, the Raptors, every team now has their own kind of stream and feed and documentaries, right, that they're constantly doing all access stuff. And there's a video that's gone viral, courtesy of the team, I believe, of Masai speaking with Emmanuel Quickly and talking about how much he pairs up with Scotty Barnes. And he's like, you're perfect for matching up with Scotty and Scotty this and Scotty that. And people are like, you notice he doesn't.
Pascal?
Yeah, he's not mentioning how he connects with Pascal Siakam.
Well,
That's not digging for something that's not there. That's legit truth. It's like when you don't hear a guy's name being mentioned, you're not a part of the future.
Right.
so does he even get back on the bird tonight? Like, they're in Sacramento tonight, are they not?
They're playing the Kings tonight. That is a very interesting.
Could hammer out a deal during the game, maybe pre-game. You know, I don't want Siakam playing against us tonight.
That would
Send
be
him
wild
over.
if it happened before tip-off and he just all of a sudden he comes out tonight and he's a Sacramento King. And obviously there'd be guys going the other way. There would be Raptors.
Happens in hockey all the time.
Yeah, same city. It's just a handshake.
Crossover in the dressing room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, I guess anything's possible here. I mean, it's It feels as if it's moving in the direction where they're going to do everything they can to flip Siakam, right? Like Tim Bontemps, I think of ESPN reported today that there's a strong belief around the league that that's what's coming.
Who have they said is most interested? Have they brought up teams? I know Sham said a Western team has emerged as like someone who's interested.
Generally been Sacramento, Indiana, Atlanta. Right, those are the three teams that generally get brought up the most. Sacramento makes sense because they have Sabonis, they have Fox, they're a playoff team. Like you add Siakam, all of a sudden you're like, you got a big three out west, and the West looks like it's up for grabs.
Yeah.
You know, where you obviously Denver's going to be there in the end.
they got pieces like that. Keegan Murray, I would assume would be part of the return.
Right.
Like that would be someone who Masai would be targeting and saying, "Hey, here's a young player that we want to bring in and help grow with Scott." I think he's 22, 23 years old. Like he's at that age where him, Quickly, RJ, here's our core. Let's move forward.
Yeah, he's the guy that always comes up.
Yeah.
Picks would be involved. You know, what complicates it again is that Siakam is a free agent at the end of
Right.
the year, but so is Anunoby, and the Knicks still decided to make that move, and they're going to do what they can, I'm sure, to keep OG. And I would assume that Sacramento, if they acquire Siakam, the plan will be to sign him long term. So, yeah, I mean that very well could be the case tonight. I guess we'll find out, but I don't know. You know, it's going to be a different era. They've won 2 in a row. They've looked different. Quickly's looked good. Barrett's looked good. Scotty's had a great year. yeah, you make
It's a big
another
gamble on Scotty. Like you're giving him the keys to the car, and I
Yep.
know that they weren't exactly in love with him last year about preparation before the season, but you're basically saying to him, "You are the guy that's going to take us out of this."
Yep.
So it's a big gamble, man, because sometimes the guy is not the guy.
Yeah, but it's also, very flattering if you're Scotty Barnes, right? Like this is a league that is driven by a superstar being the man, and you need help. You need a couple guys.
Right.
But yeah, if this is what they're doing, they're saying, Scotty, you're up, and we'll see what comes of it. Today's Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. We're on the Packers laying the points. Right, Al's brother?
Yes,
We're on
we
the
are.
Steelers laying the points. We're on the Bills laying the points. Steelers, Packers, Bills. Best Bets brought to you by FanDuel. Same-game parlays this NFL season now include passing touchdowns and receptions on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly. Must be 19+ and physically located in Ontario. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out, everyone for tuning in, TV, radio, podcast, web. Thank you, Partsy. Really appreciate it, as
That was
always.
fun.
Al's brother, Michael DiStefano, a legend himself, the O-Dog. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy your weekends. We're back Monday at...
See you in the lobby at the Holiday Inn, 4 p.m.
We'll chat then.
Win Wilson.